Hey everybody, this is Ben. Welcome back to another Leetcode video. Today we're going to be looking at problem 2109 called adding spaces to a string. So we will read through the prompt, we'll talk about some pseudocode, we'll walk through an example, and then we will type up a solution. So you're given a zero-index string S and a zero-indexed integer array spaces that describes the indices in the original string where spaces will be added. Each space should be inserted before the character at the given index. So for example, given S equals enjoy your coffee and spaces equals 5 and 9, we place spaces before the Y, which is index 5, and C, which is index 9, which are indices 5 and 9 respectively. Thus, we obtain enjoy your coffee, which is properly spaced. So return the modified string after the spaces have been added. So let's go ahead and talk about the pseudocode here. The prompt here is very simple. We simply need to insert spaces at the indices specified in the spaces array, basically before the character, right, as that first example showed. The main factor in doing this is keeping track of our spaces array index. I think the easiest approach here is to create an entirely new string using a string builder object rather than manipulating the given string S with inserts. So we will use a for loop to go through our string S by character. And if the index I in our for loop equals a value in the spaces array, we'll just add a space. Now at the end of each iteration, we'll add the current character to our string builder. So this strategy will ensure that we're adding a space before the character at the index specified in our spaces array. So let's go ahead and look at the pseudocode here. We'll create a string builder object. We'll initialize an integer x to keep track of our spaces array index. We'll use a for loop while I is less than s.length. If x is less than spaces length and I equals spaces x, we'll add a space to our string builder object. We'll iterate x by 1. So we'll just add 1. And now, regardless of whether this if statement catches or not, we'll always append the current character at I every iteration of our for loop. Say for loop. And then we end our for loop. I'm not sure why I typed out wow on this whole thing. And then we'll return our string builder as a string. So let's go ahead and look at an example here. String S equals Leetcode helps me learn, and our spaces equals 8, 13, and 15. So first we create our string builder object named SB. We initialize x with a value of 0. Now we get into our for loop. For in I equals 0, I less than s.length, I plus plus. So let's walk through each iteration of our for loop. When I equals 0, our if statement does not catch, because 0 is less than 3 is true, but 0 does not equal 8, which is the first value of our spaces array. Now, regardless of this catching, remember we'll just append our current character, which is L, so now our string builder equals L. For I equals 1, again, if statement does not catch, and we'll append E, which is the current character, so now string builder equals LE. So we'll move through this pretty quickly. For I equals 2, if statement doesn't catch, append another E. I equals 3, if statement doesn't catch, append a T. If statement number, or when I equals 4, our if statement does not catch, we'll append C. I equals 5, if statement doesn't catch, append O. I equals 6, if statement doesn't catch, append D. I equals 7, if statement doesn't catch, append E. Now when I equals 8, this if statement is going to catch because 0 is less than 3 and 8 does equal 8. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add a space. So now we have Leetcode and then a space character, and we'll iterate x. So x now equals 1, so it's going to the next value in our space array. And then, remember, regardless of what our if statement does, we'll always append the current character at I, which is h, so we'll add that h. When I equals 9, if statement doesn't catch, we add E. I equals 10, if statement doesn't catch, we add L. I equals 11, if statement doesn't catch, we add P. I equals 12, if statement doesn't catch, we add S. I equals 13, our if statement is going to catch. 1 is less than 3 is true. 13 equals 13 is true. So we'll go ahead and append our space. We'll iterate x, so x now equals 2. And then we'll add our current character. So we're at Leetcode space help space M. I equals 14 doesn't catch. Go ahead and append letter E. I equals 15 does catch. So again, we'll add a space, iterate I to x equals 3, and then we'll append our current character, which is L. I equals 16, now our if statement, we're done with our spaces array. So as you can see, 3 is not less than 3, that equals no. We don't even have to evaluate the second part of that if statement to know that it is going to be false. We'll append our current character, which is E. I equals 17, if statement doesn't catch, append A. I equals 18, doesn't catch, append R. I equals 19, doesn't catch, and we append N. So that gets our full statement with the proper spaces stored in our string builder object. We'll end our for loop and we'll return sb.toString. Let's go ahead and code up the example together. Pretty simple code here overall. So first we make our string builder. Then we will say int x equals 0. For int I equals 0, I less than s.length. And then we will add I. If x is less than spaces.length and I equals spaces x. Then we'll say sb.append a space and we'll iterate x. Now, regardless of that if statement, we'll say sb.append s.character at I. Then we will return sb.toString. Let's go ahead and run the code. And we'll submit it. Note it does run slower while I'm recording. And that time it actually ran faster. So this is going to get you around a 48 millisecond time, which is about 60% better than all submissions. Memory usage, 91 megabytes, about 64% better. I'm sure there's a better solution out there. I've played around with a couple, and just as far as how intuitive it is, this seems to be a very simple approach. But if you have a better solution, feel free to comment. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something and have a great day.